Tunghayan po natin ang special coverage ng press briefing sa Palasyo ng Malacanang.
Nandito na si Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo.
Good afternoon, members of the MPC. I'm ready.
MPC questions, Joseph? Microphone, please.
Sir, last night po si Presidente had a meeting with the MNLF founding chairman. Ms. Wari, can we have more details, especially in the context of some statements from an MNLF faction that they will not take part in the BTA and they're going to establish a new MNLF because to protest allegedly the dictatorship of the MNLF.
The meeting with the MNLF chairman, Ms. Wari, lasted, I think, only about 15 minutes. They're going to meet again. What transpired last night was the president told the chairman that he admired his patience and he apologized for not having implemented or enforced or whatever agreements that they had previously with respect, I think, to federalism or something. And they would be talking again precisely for that. They didn't have much time to talk, so they will meet again.
Sir, as a follow-up, apparently there are members of the MNLF, whether this is, sanctioned by the chairman or not, they are disgruntled, no? I mean, maybe not happy with the BTA because they submitted, I think, 39 names to the BTA, but only less than 10 were appointed. So, number one, a comment on that, and number two, how do we address this sentiment?
Well, for one, if the MNLF was complaining about it, the chairman did not mention it last night. Number two, per General Valdez, there has been an equitable distribution of representation in that authority.
Did the President mention anything to Nur Miswari in relation to the BTA and the efforts with regard to the Bangsamoro government?
No, as I said, most of the time, I think it was the President talking and expressing himself. And nothing was touched on with respect to that.
Would you know when the next meeting will happen and where, probably?
No info on that yet. They will schedule it and we will make the announcement.
Okay, that's it.
Follow up, Ina?
Sir, until now, no official list of the BTA members has been released. Can we
Not
have
to,
a copy?
not to me yet. But we are going to get so that we can release it.
Is there a reason, sir, why the release has not been made yet? Because the President, on the day of the oath-taking, admitted that there were last-minute arrangements made or changes made in the composition of the BTA. Can you expound on that a bit as well?
No, I do not know the reasons, the whys and the wherefores for the delay, but we will provide you with a complete list of the information as soon as we have it.
Sir, yung sinasabi po ninyo kanina na si General Galvez said that there has been equitable distribution.
Yeah, he should have stated
What's
on that.
equitable? Because there are reports na 5 lang daw po. Some are saying, I think it's about 7 or 8. How many really?
Siguro ibig niyo sabihin ng equitable, hindi not equally in terms of numbers, but on how effective the representation would be with respect to the goals of the BTA.
And the President last night said that basically he's ordering the police and the military not to arrest Nur Miswari because the MNLF leader is planning to go somewhere. Where is that, just to be clear?
First, the courts have allowed the former or rather the MNLF chairman, to travel to OIC to attend the OIC conference. There is a permission granted by the courts. Sandiganbayan specifically.
So that's a go.
Yes, it is a go.
Okay, follow up, Ace Romero. Microphone.
Sabi nyo, Sec, the President apologized to Noor for not implementing their agreement on federalism.
Not really not implementing, but from what I gather, they had talks before, and they were perhaps agreeing on a modus vivendi on the problem, but somehow because of the many matters that have to be attended to by the president, he wasn't able to attend to it.
So is he...
And that's why precisely he was thanking the chairman for being very patient. In other words, he was not pushy or he was not...
So hindi pa naman siya sumusuko sa federalism?
Oh, definitely. No.
Kasi 3 taon na lang. Kakayanin pa kaya yun?
Oh, definitely.
What made you say so, Sec?
Well, if there is political will, anything is possible.
Thank you, Sec.
Follow up? Other issue? Wala na. RJ.
Sir, were you there yesterday or last night during the meeting?
No, I was given a first-hand info on what happened.
Okay, sir. Sap Bongo also sent us a photo showing the president also met with Senator Honasan and former Senator Enrile.
That one I don't know about.
Okay.
Only the chairman.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Okay, may follow up ba or follow up? Okay, Raymond.
Sir, the President mentioned about the rumblings within the MNLF because of the, well, yung composition nga ng Bangsamoro Transition Authority. So how serious is that rumblings? Would it possible escalation into another splinter group or possible attacks because of that rumblings or pagkadismaya sa BTA composition?
I do not think so, given the fact that the chairman of the MNLF, Noor Miswari, is a very reasonable, patient man. And the fact that he did not make any complaint last night relative to that shows that he understands.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, may follow up. Ace muna, Ace.
Noor?
Sir, but how is the president treating the MNLF as a group? Because there seems to be different factions there. Is he, I mean, based on what you're saying, you're looking at what MNLF Chairman Miswari, yung position po niya, but there are other factions. So how is the president resolving those different groups?
I think the
Yung
faction
approach.
is within the MNLF, assuming that there is one. As far as I know, there is no major faction. There may be 1 or 2 voices, but by and large, the MNLF is Noor Miswari.
Okay, Ace.
Secretary, about yung meeting with Senator Onasan and former Senator Enrile, just for the record, ina-endorse ba ni President din yung candidacy ni Senator Enrile?
I don't think he's included in the
The
12
slate.
that has been mentioned already. The last name that I heard that he endorsed was Rafael Luna. So that completed the 12-man slate.
So yung meeting had nothing to do with the midterm polls?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you, Sec.
May follow up or other issue? Ruth, other issue.
Sir, at the PDP Laban rally in Cebu City on Sunday, February 24, President Duterte raised the hand of former Mayor Michael Rama, whom the Chief Executive publicly named as drug protector in 2016. Does that mean the President is endorsing the vice mayoral bid of Rama?
I don't know the circumstances surrounding the raising of the hand, but given the ethics of this president, who does not want to embarrass people around him, I do not know whether that is an endorsement or not.
But isn't it opposed to the president's policy to go after individuals who have links to illegal drugs?
It could be that there is a finding that he was not really involved. We do not know that yet. I will ask the president on that.
But sir, what does President Duterte's tacit endorsement indicate? Does it clear Rama of the charge of being into illegal drugs?
As I said, it could be just courtesy.
Okay. Last one, sir. Apart from Mike Rama, Provincial Board member Sun Shimura is also one of the PDP Laban's local bets endorsed by Duterte. Shimura is the stepson of the Anbantayan Cebu Mayor Vicente Loot, who was tagged as drug protector. He is also running as in place of his father. Isn't it contradicting the president's stern warning that his crackdown on drug personalities will be harsher in his last 3 years in office?
Again, I do not know the circumstances surrounding what appears to you as an endorsement. Number two, if that particular person is related to someone who appears to be involved, doesn't mean that that person endorsed is also involved.
Questions, MPC? May follow-up o ibang issue na? Joseph?
Okay, sir. I have a lot here. Dun muna tayo, sir, sa church. Why that face? All right, sir. Okay, there are a couple of statements yesterday. The president said that Roman Catholicism will be gone in 25 years. What's this statement supposed to mean, sir?
He's just expressing an opinion. An opinion that this is belief. Whether it will come about, we don't know. RJ is smiling like an impish.
Where is this coming from, sir? Would you say that this is an attack on the foundation of the church?
Not really. He believes in God. He prays. He invokes God.
But not Roman Catholicism.
He's just referring to certain men in the cloth that have violated their own vows. Even the Pope has become the #1 critic of the Catholic Church.
So he also proposed that priests marry, either heterosexually or otherwise.
Well, perhaps the church should consider that, given that there has been many problems about remaining celibate.
Finally, sir?
Given the fact that there has been problems of staying celibate for the rest of their lives, perhaps the church could look into that. If other religious groups or orders allow their their pastors to be married, why not the Catholic Church? It's an idea. Actually, it's for the church to consider that. We'll just sit by and watch.
Sir, is the president discrediting the church?
No. He is discrediting certain men of the cloth, as the Pope is so doing. I think that's a healthy criticism. It will help the Catholic Church cleanse itself and purge itself from those who are not deserving to be there.
So when he commented on celibacy, it is not a concept that is related to the foundations of the church, but celibacy in reference to some members of the church,
I think so, yes.
Okay, follow-up, Ace Romero.
Secretary, binanggit ni President Duterte yung text message ni Cardinal Tagle about the supposed threats dun sa buhay nung ibang pare. And then he warned yung drug addicts na wag saktan o wag patayin yung mga obispo. But do you think yung rhetoric ni President against the bishops, yun yung nag-encourage sa mga drug addicts na gumawa ng ganong threats?
Well, in the first place, when you're a drug addict, if you are one, anyway, if you're a drug addict, if one is a drug addict, it doesn't matter to him who endorsed. You know, drug addicts are crazy. They've been, their brains have been affected. So there is no need for encouragement from anyone to do something bad against a person near him, near her, or wherever.
So it's not yung rhetoric ni President na yon, yung patay ng obispo na maraming pera.
No, actually,
not to be blamed
again,
for that.
that's just an hyperbole. Meaning, it's a criticism. It's just a criticism. That is precisely why he warned those who will harm the priest. And he's serious on that. Because this president is outraged by any kind of irregularity or violation of any law or any threat made against any person.
But don't you think the President should refrain from making such, you called it hyperbole, para hindi na siya kailangan mag-warning? Kasi nga, mukhang sineseryoso yung mga threats niyang ganun.
Our countrymen have been used to this president's style of delivering his responses, his remarks. So I don't see any problem with that.
Thank you, Sec.
Okay, Raymond.
RJ keeps on smiling. He hasn't asked any question yet.
So yung kagabi sinabi ng Pangulo na kung merong papatay or mananakit ng pare or obispo to that effect, ay paninira yun sa kanya. So parang sinisisi niya yung mga critics and even yung umano'y death threats sa Caloocan Bishop and sa priest na pinarating ni Cardinal Tagle. Ang sinisisi ng Pangulo, yung kritiko na taking advantage over yung kanyang, yun nga, threat na or pahayag sa mga addict na pagnakawan or patayin yung mga obispo kung makita.
I agree with him because, you know, when he says that, we know that he's in a hyperbolic mode. Now, if the critics and the opposition use that, certainly it will encourage other people.
So, meaning, siya rin yung nagbigay ng bala sa opposition na gamitin laban sa kanya.
Not necessarily, as I said, alam na ng tao yung style niya. Eh, yung mga ginagamit lang yun ng mga kalaban niya sa politika.
Pero kung wala sana siyang sinabi na gawin ng mga adik, either hyperbole or not, wala sana gagamitin yung opposition laban sa kanya.
Eh, kung hindi naman niya sinabi yun, di wala kang tinatanong ngayon.
Thank you.
Okay. May follow-up? Maricel?
Sir, after the statement of the President yesterday, does it mean that the President will now stop threatening the clergymen, the priests?
Again, he was not threatening anyone. I will repeat what I said. When he makes comments, he creates certain situations either to make people laugh or to stress a message. But he doesn't threat people. He only threats criminals. Only the criminals, the corrupt, the evildoers, the scoundrels, the dregs of society. Not the priests, not the bishops, not anyone.
But the fact that I understand you mentioned that it was just a hyperbole, but the fact that he, in a way, encouraged other people to rob and to kill, to harm bishops, isn't that a threat?
If it's an hyperbole, then it's not an encouragement. It is only the opposition, the critics, who make it so. That is precisely why they should be blamed for that, not him.
Okay. Question, a follow-up, Nestor?
But why the need for the President to issue such quote as what you mentioned, hyperbole?
It's not a need. It's his style. That has been his style since he was mayor of the city of Davao. So people are used to him.
Okay, Pia?
Sir, if the President is just using hyperbole, in
Alam, hindi
his
pa tayo matapos na,
statements calling for violence against religious leaders. Why is he taking so much offense on yung public prayers of the priest na binanggit niya sa speech na asking God for his death? Isn't that parang, in a way, parang pareho lang yon, kasi they can argue that they are also using hyperbole, they're also jesting.
There's a difference there. When the priest uses the pulpit, that means he's serious. Priests do not use the pulpit to crack jokes with respect to praying for someone to die. That's a different story.
So the priests, religious leaders can't use the pulpit, but the president can use the presidential podium to use public events to call for violence.
As the president
against
says,
other
there is a
people.
separation of church-state. When a priest get out of the pulpit and crack jokes, okay lang yon. Pero when you use the pulpit to destroy a person, you are violating your own vows. That's a different story. Oh, what's the vow? The vow is to be very good image of the God that they believe in.
So you're saying, sir, that so you're saying, sir, that the president can use his position to call for violence and then call it hyperbole after.
In the first place,
and then the priest could
in
not
the
use.
first place, his style was already that even before he assumed the presidency. So you can be saying that he's using that position. He's been doing that ever since. Even when he was still a prosecutor. Ganun ang style niya ever since. When I met him, ganun na yan.
So other people cannot joke on calling for harm against the president, but the president can do that to other people.
No,
Sir, is that
we're
what you're
talking
saying?
about priests. Priests do not do this. He cannot be using a pulpit to pray to God that person be killed or die.
Yun lang, sir, kasi
It would be out of character for a priest. While this president is not out of character because that's his style. Style niya yun eh. Dati na siyang gano'n. At hindi, everybody knows him na by this time. Pero halimbawa, can you imagine if Cardinal Taglio will do that or a priest we know, sabihin natin nagdarasal. Iba ang dating noon. Even the parishioners will be reacting to that.
So yun, sir. So the president is exempted because people have already accepted his style.
Not a matter of exception. It's a matter of people being used to him, not taking him seriously with respect to that kind of deliverances.
Okay, Julie, then Joseph, last issue na yon.
Sir, you mentioned that the president keeps on making those statements because the church is not observing the separation of church and state. And yet the president makes statements about theology, about priests. You say that the priests should not use the pulpit as a podium for their statements, whereas the president is using the presidential seal. So what's the difference? Does this mean that the idea of the separation of church and state should not be observed by the president?
No, what I'm saying is when the president criticizes the church, actually he's not criticizing the church, but specific members of the clergy, especially because he was a victim of abuse. And right now, his utterances on this matter have been validated by the Pope himself, who admits to this kind of violations, sexual violations.
And my question is, so why is not the president observing separation of church and state? If he says that the church should not meddle in affairs of the state, then why he's meddling in the affairs of the church?
That's part of his job.
Because, please expound, sir, so that we can get the full quote. Why is it part of his job?
What actually the president wants is, if you're a priest and you teach the teachings of Christ, be consistent. So when you pray for the death of one person, you become inconsistent and you become subject of criticism. While the president, when he cracks jokes, by way of criticizing certain members of the cloth, it's not being inconsistent. Kasi meron siyang pinaghuhugutan may pinanggagalingan. Kung ikaw'y pare, madasaling ka, religyoso ka, banal ka, pagkatapos bigla mo sasabihin na, Diyos ko, sana mamatay na itong maman to. You see the dramatic difference between that priest and this person? Siyempre, iba ang dating.
Okay, Joseph?
Oh, by the way, let me ask you, did you get my statement on the clarification of the president's stand on the Chinese workers?
We'll go there later, sir.
Tagal ko na inaantay, ang bagay.
Sir, ito muna. All right, we both agree that the president's words carry weight, correct?
Depends.
What?
If it's cracking jokes, it's a joke.
How do you distinguish?
It should not carry weight with respect to serious concerns.
How do we, again, age-old question since 2016, how do we know if it's a joke and it's not a joke?
We're
And it's
used to
policy.
this president. In fact, the survey shows that this president, despite all those jokes that others consider not to be jokes, nandiyan pa rin yung kanyang rating. Ibig sabihin, kilala na nila ang president.
All right, the statements on the bishops and harming them, is this a joke or not a joke?
Yung alin?
Yung pong dati niyang sinabi na pag nakita niyo yung mga bishop,
Joke lang yun. Ano lang yun? It was just an hyperbole.
hyperbole, okay, game.
But this one, we says, do not harm them.
Yes,
May
exactly.
may problema kayo sa akin. Ayan ang serious talk.
All right.
He's talking as president, enforcing the law.
Is that not an acknowledgement that his words carry consequences?
An acknowledgement that the critics are making it bad by viewing it differently. In other words, a joke perceived to be jokes by many, and yet the critics and the opposition would convert it into serious matter. Yun ang...
Sir, paano ulit tayo napunta sa opposition? Let's focus on the cause and effect, sir, no? All right. So the president before said na, nagjo-joke siya, hyperbole, na pag dumaan yung mga bishop nyo, nakawa nyo, whatever. And then here comes the statement now, no? Yesterday or 2 days ago, na ang sabi niya is, wag. In effect, wag galawin. Except for maybe those priests that are involved in crimes. But those that are not, sabi niya, wag galawin. Question, hindi ba siya, sir, acknowledgement na nakikinig sa kanya talaga yung tao?
Hindi nga Hindi kaya nga pinasok ko yung mga critic kasi ang ginagawa nga ng critic, sinasabi sa mga tao na, hindi, itong taong ito, totoo yung mga sinasabi niya. Masamang tao to dahil gusto niyang pasakta ng mga pare at mga obispo. So yung mga naniniwala dun sa mga critic, di syempre, that will reinforce. Hindi pala nagbibiro ito, gawin natin. Okay, hindi ba sinasabi niya, I will blame you pag may nangyari sa kanila kasi kayo, kino-convert niyo yung sinabi ko na dapat na hindi.
Sige na. Sige, sir. Thank you.
Okay, RJ, then Ace.
Sir, if the church is the
Nandun pa rin
president's...
tayo.
If the church, sir, is the president's problem, then why can't he just seek dialogue with them, discuss
First,
the matter
it's not a
with them?
problem. Number two, he's always open. Matagal yan ang sinasabi niya.
Pero walang formal dialogue.
Wala namang pumupunta, wala rin naman nag-ano.
But on the part of
Hindi
the
ba
palace...
nagkaroon na?
Pero yes, sir. That's interesting. What happened to that?
Mukhang pareho naman sila. Naupo lang. After that, wala na nangyari. Alam mo na mga Pilipino, pag mayroong nangyari ngayon, mag-uusap. After that, nakalimutan na ulit. Ningas kugon tayo
And then the president continues with his rantings.
And the church also continues with its rantings.
And then we expect the remaining 3 years to be, having.
Well, it does not
rantings
affect his work as president. He continues to fulfill his promises. He continues to be relentless in his war against drugs, against corrupt people. He continues with his socio-economic development for this country. So,
Thank you, sir.
Okay, other issue na. Okay na? Raymond.
Doon sa sinabi ng Pangulo na his last remaining 3 years in the presidency would be the most dangerous times for those involved in the illegal drug streets. Hindi na makasama dito yung mga priest.
Hindi. Unless na they're involved.
Okay. Ano yung parang pinapatungkol dito ng Pangulo? Do we expect na aside from yung mga street drug pushers, ay meron ng yung talagang mga manufacturers, suppliers na who will be scattering blood? Do we expect some killings or arrest of those manufacturers, the actual manufacturers and suppliers, lalo nga sa Eastern Seaboard, parang binabaha yata ng bloke-blokeng cocaine?
Ganito yan, ulitin natin yung posisyon ng presidente niya. The president says, I declare war against drugs, which means that the law enforcement agencies will have to do everything under the law to run after them. Now, if in the process, and he keeps on saying, if in the process you commit abuses, there will be hell to pay. I will not allow it. And he doesn't allow it. In fact, we have already conviction of one or two, three of the policemen. It only means that there will be more by-bus operations, more arrests, and more intelligence work in order to dismantle completely the drug apparatus in this country.
Sir, speaking of the intelligence fund, more intelligence works, hindi ba by this time, sa laki ng budget for the intelligence, tukoy na kung saan mina-manufacture actually yung mga shabu at kung sino yung mga drug lords na nagsusupply down to the street drug pushers? Kasi yung shabu usually hindi naman transported from overseas, kundi dito minimix yung shabu eh.
O hindi nga ba, dami na re-rate ng mga factories ng shabu? In fact, nangyayari na nga yun eh. Ang kagalingan naman ng mga kalaban, pag nabuwag sila, meron na namang susulpot. Kasi nga, malaking pera. Pag malaking pera, people risk their lives.
Last point, sir. Pero may mga nangyayaring raids, pero pagdating doon sa warehouse or drug den supposed to be, wala na yung shabu, wala na rin yung mga may-ari doon, yung caretaker na lang, at ang nakakasuhan, puro lang si John Doe, saka si Jane Doe, saka John Doe.
Even assuming na wala na ron, the fact is nandun yung item. Kung nandun ang item, di naging successful ka rin.
Okay, MPC. Virgil, then Bernadette.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Is the president already looking for the replacement of BSP Governor Nestor Espinilla?
I think there is one of the deputies who is OIC.
But a permanent replacement, sir?
Most likely. Siyempre, he will look for a replacement. We do not know yet who will it be.
In an interview, sir, sabi po ni former BSP Governor Jose Cuisia, he said that, I personally think it would be good if the president appoints an insider. They have very competent people there who can do a great job as BSP Governor. Is the president inclined to appoint an insider?
That's the judgment call of the president. It's his prerogative.
But how soon can the president appoint po a new BSP Governor?
As of this time, I do not know. I will ask him.
Okay, sir. Will he visit the wake, sir, of Governor Espinilla?
From what I see in the schedule, there is a schedule to visit, tentative visit.
Kasi I think March 2 yung cremation, sir, so he has this week lang. So
nakita ko sa schedule eh.
So within the week, he will
Most
be
likely,
visiting.
yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, mag-last two na tayo. Bernadette and RJ. And, apat pa. Okay.
Sir, what particular day po bibisita si Presidente dun sa wake?
Hindi ko alam yan.
Okay po.
Well, ano.
Sige, sir. Tapos may confirm ko lang po, sir, kung may nasubmit na shortlist for the possible successor nga ni late BSP Governor.
None that I know of.
So wala. Okay. So what are the qualifications of the qualifications that the president is looking for the next BSP Governor?
Dalawa lang naman ang palagi niya sinasabi, integrity and competence.
Okay. So how is the president planning to choose the next BSP Governor? Will he personally interview the candidates, sir?
Hindi ko alam yung part na yan. I do not know.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, RJ, then Christine, and last si Joseph.
Sir, still on the BSP governor. So what's the palace expectations from the next BSP leader or chief, sir? Under his leadership.
I suppose it's the same, it's a continuity of the work done by the previous governor.
Mhm. Sir, also, the Secretary of State, U.S. Secretary of State will be here on February 28 to March 1, and he will be meeting with the President. So what can we expect from that meeting, sir?
Oh, I'm sure there will be talks between the government and our government with respect to our relations.
Particularly on?
Whatever the state secretary would like to open up.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Christine, then last na si Joseph. Okay.
Sir, last night the president said, parang warned yung Filipinos abroad not to get involved in drugs and not to commit serious crimes because he said he can't and he won't help them. So won't this go against yung policy of the government to help Filipinos abroad who are in distress?
What he means by that is he cannot be violating the laws of other countries, just like his position that you cannot violate our laws. Now, if Filipinos will be engaged in drug trafficking, he will not lift a hand in the sense that he would be traveling there and asking the president for a pardon. What we can do is just to provide lawyers for them.
So you mean that's just parang him personally, not the government helping out?
Yes, because when you provide lawyers, you're also helping.
So it's not really him not allowing the government to assist yung mga Filipinos.
No, because it will be against our own policy too that we are very strict on the enforcement of drug laws. Pagkatapos, pag sa ibang lugar, tayo hindi. Parang magiging consistent tayo. In the same way that, since I mentioned already the Chinese workers, the president wished to clarify that the immigration laws will be strictly enforced against anyone who violates it. He was actually referring to Chinese workers with working permits. They will be protected because they've been given the green light to work here. Ang sinasabi niya lang, like for instance, if there are hundreds of Chinese immigrants perceived to be not working illegally or working illegally here, we cannot be so rash and reckless as to just deport them. Kasi Chinese government may also react. Kasi there are 300,000 Filipinos. In fact, the Chinese ambassador hosted a dinner for me and some of my friends, and he told me, said, the same way that we will prosecute Filipinos or any national foreign in our country, we expect that you also prosecute criminals who violate your laws, including Chinese. That's the position of the Chinese government, which is a very correct position for all governments in the first place.
Okay, mag-follow up ko muna, RJ, and then last na si Joseph.
Sir, that's what the president explained to you exactly regarding the Chinese.
Yes,
Yeah.
we talked yesterday. That's
Okay.
exactly what he told me.
So you asked for clarification, right? And that's what his explanation is.
Not, I didn't. Yeah, in a way, yes, because I made a text, and then we talked about it. He said I was referring not to Chinese who have working permits. I'm referring to those others. Basta we will enforce immigration laws.
Thank you, sir.
Strictly and with dispatch.
Pian, ano ka ba? Okay, Pian, then last na si Joseph.
Sir, I remember when the president asked the Kuwaiti government to initiate reforms on household service workers in the Philippines. Parang there was no concern like this that his calls would affect Filipinos working in Kuwait. Where right now he's concerned about the actions of the government affecting Filipinos in China. What's the difference, sir? Why is he concerned that the government will react and affect Filipino workers in China when yun dun sa Kuwait he's willing to take back the Filipino workers there?
In Kuwait, I remember, ano ba yung problema sa Kuwait? Di ba na-resolve niya ngayon?
Yes, sir. Yes, pero ano sir, the thing is, but he's very concerned about what the Chinese government's reaction will be with regards to the Filipino workers currently in China, when he did not show the same concern for what the Kuwaiti government or parang for the effect of his call for reforms there in Kuwait.
He did show concern.
Meaning, sir, that he's willing to take back the workers, Filipino workers in Kuwait.
I don't think there is no there is no problem with respect to taking them back. Ang gobyerno will always willing to take all Filipinos back. Sinasabi ni Presidente, yung marami tayong 300,000 Filipinos illegally working there. Kung bigla mong pinauwi yun dito, nagka-problema yung hindi lamang sila, pati pamilya nila. Yan ang sinasabi niya. Kaya we should tread it cautiously. Ganon din ang sinasabi ng Chinese government na kailangan in accordance with the law, hindi lang basta itatapon ninyo sa amin.
Okay, sir.
Okay, last question, Joseph.
Sir, on China lang for clarification, no? So is the Philippine government willing to deport illegal Chinese workers?
Oh, definitely. We will enforce immigration laws strictly against those who violate them.
All right. The fear of the president that China will retaliate just in case we deport a sizable number of illegal Chinese workers.
If not in accordance with law, if we do it recklessly without,
But what is the basis for this fear, sir? What makes him think that China will do such an action?
Of course, that is natural for any government to respond in kind. If you do this to our countrymen in your country, then we will do the same to you.
Is that not petty?
That's the law of cause and effect.
Di ba, sir, petty?
Ano na?
Petty?
No, definitely not. In fact, that is what the Chinese ambassador told me during dinner. That if this government will just deport Chinese, not in accordance with law, then we will also do the same. That's tit for tat.
That's what he told you.
That's very natural.
That's what he told you?
That's what he said.
Okay.
And he said, of course, he added, of course, I know that the Philippine government will not do that. And I agree with him. Because if you do that too, I'm sure the other governments will employ the same tit for tat policy.
That's quite a subtle threat, sir.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So with regards
In fact, the Chinese ambassador said, the Tahoe incident that does not reflect our policy. In fact, he commended that Chinese or that officer for being so professional, and so restrained. And definitely is for the prosecution of all those Chinese violating the laws of the land. In the same way, he said that we will also prosecute Filipinos who violate our laws, and any national for that matter.
Sir, just so I don't misquote you, it's Ambassador Shao who told you that, no? No, it's going to be maybe tit for tat, yes?
No, we were discussing on a general term with respect to countries. How countries will react to certain actions made by a country.
Okay.
He was not actually referring to the Philippines. We were discussing certain movements of governments with respect to the nationals of other governments. And I agree with him that governments will be employing the same policy employed by another government relative to their nationals.
Diplo speak. Anyway, sir, with regard to hiring Filipino workers, no? Yung bang sinasabi niyo po and then the president that we lack construction workers have basis in fact. For example, has the DPWH identified how many manpower will they need for the build projects?
I think they're doing that now. They're making
Counting na.
They're counting. Kasi that is one of the complaints. That's why the delays daw kulang ang trabaho. Again, as I said personally, it took me 6 months to get a carpenter.
Yeah. Sir, may assurance ba? Talk to the jobless Filipino construction workers. Yung, kausapin po natin yung mga Filipino workers who might not have jobs today and looking for jobs.
And then they have to be skilled. And that's why the TESDA will have to do something about it. Establish more centers and training schools.
Priority, of course, sila, right? I mean, Filipinos versus other nationalities.
Oh, syempre, Filipinos.
Sir, yun pong yung impostor nyo, sir, mukhang ipipresent ng, I don't know, PNP or NBI. Can we just get a soundbite? Because you mentioned it last week, no?
Yeah.
Yung pong impostor nyo, nanghingi yata ng 400,000. Yung binanggit nyo.
Yung
impostor nyo.
yung impostor?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was arrested already, and the last time I heard that he was going to be under inquest at the DOJ. Yun ang alam ko.
Ipipresent yata, sir, today sa press conference.
Today?
Yes.
Sa kanila?
Dito, sir, sa Manila, sa NBI.
Siguro, hindi ko alam. I didn't know that.
This is just only one imposter.
Isa lang. One imposter.
Can you issue again the warning? I mean, or maybe statement on the arrest?
Yes. The person who has been swindling people, misrepresenting himself to be me, has been arrested in Cebu City last week. And this should serve a warning to all that the law will always catch up on you people who misrepresents and commit fraud. And of course, also caution to those subject of deceit to be more careful. And if you think that you're talking to somebody you thought you knew, the best way is to call that person. Because when they communicate, they use Facebook account, so you don't see the face, or Twitter, or Messenger. So the best way is to call.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Pia.
Pia?
Sir, how exactly were they duped into giving money?
Like in my case, for instance, in my case, one of them said that I was asking for some donations. So they will call friends of mine who are wealthy people and will pretend that I'm the person asking for donations. That's one. Another one naman, yung iba naman involved yata sa nakakulong yung kanilang spouse, relative, or children. And they will say na, kunyari ako daw yung nagsasabi, gawa natin ng paraan, pwede nating pa-release yan, with an amount involved. O yun namang na gustong ma-release yung kanila o mapardon, magdi-deposit ng pera. And they are always using the bank. They will never appear The last person who was subject of that was Jinggoy Estrada. He told me, I met him in a birthday party, and he said, Sek, hindi pala ikaw yon? Kala ko ikaw yon eh. Kaya lang nagduda ako when I was asking for your personal number, hindi niya maibigay. So, sabi ko,
So Jinggoy
Fraud.
Estrada was victimized into giving how much? sir?
hindi na natuloy kasi nagduda na siya. Hindi niya na, nung tinanong niya raw, can you give me your number? Hindi na raw, biglang pumutol na communication.
Sir, were there other prominent people who were victimized by the scam?
Hindi ko alam ang alam ko yung isang kaibigan ng isang mayaman na nagbigay ng 200,000. Yung isa namang kaklase ko, 100,000 daw ang dineposit niya.
Politician, sir, meron?
Hindi yung politician.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, MPC. Thank you, Secretary Panelo.
Thank you.
Back to our main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas and People's Television Network.